As the summer sun blisters different areas of the northern hemisphere, locals and tourists in part of Croatia have a unique way of protecting themselves from it. They get muddy, like on purpose. On a beach of the Adriatic Sea, people use this tarry goo as a sunblock and as a way to improve the health of their skin. It might not be comfortable, but it is natural, and many say there's no way to get sunburned once they've slathered on the liquefied dirt. So next time you're on the Croatian coast and you're sure you've left behind your SPF 50, maybe mud is just the crud to beach the heat. We're happy to see you today. Well, we're happy to see you every day as we kick off a brand new edition of The World from A to Z. I'm Carl Azuz, hence the A and the Z. We're covering international events in 9 minutes, and we have a pair of investigations next on today's show. The first involves former U.S. President Donald Trump. On Monday, a grand jury in Fulton County, Georgia, indicted the former president. It formally accused him and 18 other defendants of committing crimes related to the 2020 presidential election. Including the one in Georgia, there are now 4 criminal cases against former President Trump. They comprise a range of charges, not all of which are related to the last election. The nation's 45th leader has denied doing anything wrong. Former President Trump is running for re-election in 2024. He's currently the leading candidate for the Republican nomination, and he says the cases against him are politically motivated. Here's an overview of the charges announced this week in Georgia and some of the responses to them.
A Fulton County grand jury returned a true bill of indictment.
The 98-page indictment lists 41 felony counts against former President Trump and 18 co-defendants to overturn Georgia's 2020 presidential election results, accusing them of, quote, unlawfully conspired and endeavored to conduct and participate in a criminal enterprise. Trump charged with 13 counts in the indictment. In a statement, Trump's attorneys calling the grand jury presentation, quote, one-sided, and the events of Monday, quote, shocking and absurd. Ohio Rep. Jim Jordan, a Trump ally, tweeting out, he did nothing wrong. And House Speaker Kevin McCarthy saying, justice should be blind, but Biden has weaponized government against his leading political opponent to interfere in the 2024 election. The indictment stemmed from a 2.5-year criminal investigation into Trump's alleged interference in the 2020 Georgia presidential election, including his call to Georgia Secretary of State Brad Raffensperger.
I just want to find 11,780 votes.
To the fake electors who convened to cast illegitimate votes for Trump, the investigation also accuses multiple defendants of harassment of election workers and a voting systems breach in rural Coffee County.
I want to try him and be respectful for our sovereign states.
And while Fulton County District Attorney Fani Willis says she intends to try the 19 defendants together, it's up to the judge on when the trial will proceed.
The second investigation we're reporting on today involves attorney and businessman Hunter Biden, the son of U.S. President Joe Biden. A special counsel, someone with more power than a typical U.S. attorney, has been appointed by the Justice Department to investigate accusations of wrongdoing by Hunter Biden. The special counsel's name is David Weiss. Like the cases concerning former President Trump, there's a lot of political back and forth going on in the case against Hunter Biden. The Justice Department says the appointment of a special counsel demonstrates the government's commitment to, quote, independence and accountability in sensitive matters. But some Republicans say David Weiss is not the right person for that job because he supported a recent plea deal for Hunter Biden that fell apart and that Republicans say wouldn't have punished Biden enough. So what was the plea deal and what was Hunter Biden accused of after a 5-year criminal investigation?
A surprising move in the ongoing probe against Hunter Biden. U.S. Attorney General Merrick Garland announcing Friday David Weiss as special counsel in the case.
It is in the public interest to appoint him as special counsel.
The president's son was charged with failing to pay more than $200,000 in taxes on more than $1.5 million in income back in 2017 and 2018, and illegally owning a gun at a time he was addicted to drugs. Last month, Hunter Biden was expected to plead guilty to 2 tax misdemeanors. In exchange, he'd not face jail time for the gun charge. But the deal between the Justice Department and Hunter Biden fell through at the last moment. The district judge calling the deal confusing and not straightforward. Hunter Biden ended up pleading not guilty. The two parties continued negotiating, but prosecutors finally said talks were at an impasse. The ongoing probe has drawn intense political scrutiny from Republicans, arguing Hunter Biden was given a slap on the wrist because his father is president. This latest development further fueling political divide.
If he were Republican, he'd be in jail by now.
And Democrats firing back.
Allegations of political bias don't seem to hold weight when Mr. Trump was ultimately in charge of the Justice Department and its handling of this investigation.
Now the criminal case will likely go to trial.
A world of knowledge. On the periodic table, which of these elements is a noble gas? Hydrogen, oxygen, sulfur, neon. The only element here that's a noble gas is neon, whose atomic number is 10.
Flashing lights, gigantic letters, gripping neon colors. These are all staples of commercial signs. And Aaron Holland at the American Sign Museum says these iconic billboards help tell part of our nation's history.
Signs are really important because not only do they kind of capture how technology has changed, they also capture moments in time for their cultures.
And the way they've captured moments in culture has looked very different over the centuries.
Sign making starts back all the way to even ancient times. So as materials start to change and become a little more advanced.
So instead of hand-painted wooden signs,
now we're introducing technology, and with the Industrial Revolution, we start seeing machines, so metalwork.
Then the use of electricity was developed, and in 1882, sign-making companies made the switch from wood and metals to electric signs. And in the early 1900s, neon lights became the new thing.
And you see the signs kind of morph and change along with that. You keep experimenting with electricity, and all of a sudden now you have neon, the bright colors.
But the expense of using the neon lights and signs started to catch up with these companies. Many switched to illuminated plastic. This transition didn't last long. By the 1950s, Congress approved federal aid highway systems, and a decade later, the Highway Beautification Act was introduced. This called for the, quote, control of outdoor advertising, including removal of certain types of signs. Because of the Highway Beautification Acts, many of these companies face challenges and complications with these laws and had to take down their signs and shut them off.
Highway Beautification Acts, other things like that really start to take hold in the 1960s. So a lot of the signs that you see around us would not actually be allowed to be put up today because it would be either too large, it would be blocking transportation safety, visibility, or even pedestrian safety.
Some signs survived, but they were grandfathered in, meaning they existed before the law. But for the rest, museums like this one preserve their memory and make sure these icons of America's past won't be lost.
We are so grateful to be part of your school day, and we want to recognize a couple of the teachers who make that possible. First, Mr. Grissom. We see you at Seymour Middle School. Hello to the Owls. Who? The Owls in Seymour, Indiana. Next, we've got Woodward Academy watching this Wednesday. We're calling out Mr. Wilmer's classes in Atlanta, Georgia.
On this date in world history.
Fiddlesticks! I'm not saying something I shouldn't. This is a cartoon called Fiddlesticks, featuring a character named Flip the Frog, who is created by a man who helped come up with another character you might have heard of, Mickey Mouse. While Flip the Frog was fulsomely featured in dozens of cartoons starting in 1930, he didn't quite reach the same fame achieved by his rodent cousin. So why are we showing you this? Because this was the first cartoon in world history that featured both color and synchronized sound, and it was released on this date in 1930. Have you ever felt like, man, a bagel would be amazing right now? Well, check it. You can go to the Feltz Bagel Shop in New York, but don't try to take a bite out of these. It's an immersive art exhibit, and you will find challah bagels, everything bagels, cream cheese lox and onions bagels, all the fillings and so many combinations you could make 2.3 million different varieties, but they're all made out of felt, like the fabric. Bagels not your thing? Well, there are pastries and coffee, and none of it is edible. The British artist who opened the pop-up exhibit says it pays tribute to Manhattan's delis and bagel shops, but you'd better leave. You're gonna leave hungry, because it might look delicious. They have a locks on creativity, and the place provides plenty of cream cheesy fun, but To someone hungry, it's like this big BLTs, because no matter Sand which way you turn or how much Sal money you offer or how much you might bagel for food, no one ever felt full from felt. So we hope that doesn't turn into like this big schmear campaign. The World from A to Z returns tomorrow. Please spread the word. You are the best part of what we do.